This episode is powered by Poddex.
Hello, sir.
Hello, I am happy to see you. I know it's been a while, and for anyone who catches this episode, thank you for tuning in to another episode of MCVC. Today, we are going to be starting off, as we always do, with a pod deck card from, as we talked about before, our sponsors, Pod Decks. And it's awesome. We recommend you go check it out. It's cool just for like casual talk and all that. And even if you're not looking to get into a podcast, you can use it for like games, and just try to have a casual icebreaker. But with that, let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Um, Shoot. I had a pile started of ones that we've done before, and I accidentally threw them back in.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so I'm just trying to. Do. Okay, I'll do that one because that's the first one I saw that I knew we haven't done before. All right. So our icebreaker for the day: what do you value most in your friends?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. All right. Well, what I value most in my friends is it's kind of different because it's like there's certain things I value differently in different friends. And like if it's the concept of what I look for, like initially when I want someone to be my friend, usually I look for someone that's like, okay, this is someone that doesn't look like I will never say people can like there's not a person on this planet who won't upset you. But I look for the person who's like, all right, they may upset me, but the gain versus the loss of the friendship will be better than like say I'm feeling like I'm constantly excuse me, constantly feeling like I'm just losing out by being involved in this person's life or being upset or just like annoyed with something they're doing constantly. And it's like another thing like I've talked about with you actually in Austin. I was bringing up the idea that like I value the fact that like I could just walk away from your life right now for an X amount of years and probably come back into your life. And yeah, there'd be like just a little bit of like delay, but then it's just gonna pick right back up where it left off. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a cool value I have in my friendships too, especially as we get into our adulthood. You're not gonna see each other all the time. Like we live in the same state, but we live such a distance away that we don't see each other. And this is like our interaction outside of gaming. And so it's just being able to like understand that how like but we still maintain our friendship, and that's the thing where it's like you can be understanding of the fact that you're not near this person and you value this person enough that you're going to maintain your friendship with them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, obviously, everybody's answer is going to be different. I mean, some people are going to have similar answers and similar things that they look for in friends. I mean, in a general basis, I feel like obviously something you look for in friends is like somebody who's similar to you in some way, whether that's you have an interest in a taste of music, things you like to watch, things you like to do. Obviously, it helps to have one thing that you're in common with that person. Um, Honestly, I feel like for people who are too identical, it's like not good because there's not enough differences that you're testing each other. Where like if you both listen to the exact same kind of music, both of you are never gonna figure out what else is out there and what else you might like. Or um, if both of you are introverts and you don't like going out and being social or going out doors and doing things like that. So um, obviously, it's finding a counterpart. I think is a good thing to have value in. But I guess for me, um, one of the biggest things I find value in is like, well, it's really two things, but they kind of coexist with each other: is honesty and communication. And as you know, or as you just said, this is kind of the biggest way we communicate. Obviously, we like text and Snapchat just about every day, which is more than I do with a lot of our friends that we grew up with. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's good that we keep in touch that way. Um, but then, yeah, it's just like just being open with a lot of stuff too. And it's like as we get older, it's like we've been friends this long that it's like that part of like honesty and communication. It's like it almost makes sense where why leave stuff out at this point, you know what I mean? It's not like you're in a new relationship, whether it's you're a girl or a guy, whoever's watching this, or you just recently became friends with somebody and you're like, oh, I'm trying to feel things out. It's like if you've been friends with somebody for years and years and years, it's like it makes you want like it just makes you think like where like some friendships can fall off. And I know like you probably have some as well, like maybe people you went to high school with, or maybe people you were in the army with that you're not as close with you are now. But looking back on it, it's just a matter of the communication fell off, or there was a lack of trust or honesty, um, whatever that
Oh,
looks like. But
oh yeah, and then like even on that concept too, it's like when I think about a friend, there's like my actual friend pool is a lot smaller than the amount of people that I involve myself with. That like, because I'm one of those people that's kind of like, all right, you got your friends. That's like it's like a big old ring. You got like a big ring of friends, and then you got like your inner friends, and then you get like, and there's just people that get closer and closer, and it's just like you got friend group A, B, and C, and it's like, and it is like that group gets smaller and more condensed because it's like I like being social. I like getting to know more people. So there's a lot of people I'd be like, yeah, that person's my friend,
mhm,
because like but I would never be like it's not the same register as like with you or Austin or Collin or my buddy Cody or et cetera, et cetera. There's several people, Gio, like, and I can just go for a while. There's so many different people I know from different walks of life, and that are close to me that we all do our own thing. But then there's like it just branches out, and then there's this group that gets looser and looser and looser, and there's and does it mean I value that friendship any less? No. It just means that you guys valued my friendship more to the point of getting to that comfort level with me, and not me allowing that comfort level and you allowing that comfort level to where our friendship could exceed that the group C and B, and then like getting to the most inner working of A.
mhm. No, yeah, I definitely like that. Like how you said there's different people where you have or through your walk of life that um there's some that you value their friendship just as equally as these other people, but it's a matter of what you get back out of them that again you put into that pool of A, B, or C as far as how small that circle gets. And what as you're talking about that one thing that popped into my head is um just because somebody's in your circle doesn't mean that they're in your corner. So like you can have a circle of friends, you have this big circle of people that you communicate with, but at times in your life when you're backed into that corner, who's backed into that corner with you? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and I don't know. That was just like something that popped in my head is yeah,
No,
there's
yeah, and
people
I
you
like that.
associate yourself with, but at your highs and lows in life, who's in your corner that you're need somebody to lean on or they need to lean on you or yeah.
Oh,
But
and it definitely does define what kind of group you fall into, because it's like, and it honestly makes, once your friendship gets to a certain level of comfort, you get to a point where you can communicate easier. And it's like I notice with certain friends that I have, it's harder for me to talk about certain things that bother me, like with them, compared to say talking to you or talking to some of the other people I listed, because it's like there's that comfortness. Like it's like you guys, no matter what comes out of my mouth, you're not going to judge me in a very negative way. If it's something bad, like if I say like, I don't know, hypothetical, like holy crap, like I did something really stupid and I'm now dealing with the repercussions of it. I know you guys would be the people that are in that tighter group are the first ones I'm going to, because I know it's not going to be like you're an idiot. You like, why would you do that? It's going to be like, okay, you'll get through this, and we're going to figure out a course of action moving forward, and we're going to you're going to get out of this corner. And no, so I like that, and it's definitely true that there are people that you you just get that different feeling with you. If you just feel different, you just feel
mhm,
different with certain people than you do others, because of that knowing of that idea. And as you get to know other people, you it's hard to like open up to like that, and that's why friend groups are so small. And like I don't like, and that's why I said like I have several friend groups, because I don't like being clicky. And I know it's like in the Midwest it's kind of a thing to be very clicky, but like I like interacting with a lot of different people, and if you end up being a friend A, cool. Like that's awesome, but it's kind of like I like to like liken it to like ratios. So like there's like a 33% chance you're going to be a friend B, like something roughly like that, and then like a 60% chance you're going to be a friend C, and then there's like a 3% chance you're going to be a friend A,
Hmm.
and that's usually kind of roughly how I arrange it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely in the same um I guess in the same ballpark. I've always been one of those people, quality over quantity. Like I know a lot of people from different areas where I've lived in different cities. I've associated myself with different groups, whether that's like groups of interests, otherwise being in like sports. Did a little bit of sports in college too. So it's just like it's a matter of like picking like out of the crowd, like there could be hundreds of people each of us could associate ourselves with every day. One, it'd be hard to find like where you have a high point or a low point in your life. Okay, who do I go to? You know what I mean? Because I feel like those people that don't have somebody in that tight knit circle, somebody that they could probably count on one hand, and that's it, of how many people that they can go to. Um, but the thought I was getting to is the people who don't have that and they just know a bunch of people are the people that go to your Snapchat, your Facebook, your
Yeah.
social media outlets. That if something good happens, they have to post it on there. If something bad happens, they post it on there because they don't get enough out of telling anywhere from 2 to 5 people that they're super close with and getting enough feedback and recognition that they're looking for because they don't have that. So they have to go out and get little pieces of recognition from somebody they talked with 6 years ago, somebody they talked to 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, somebody they briefly know, and adding all that up through dozens or hundreds of people for them equates to like us getting recognition from a couple people. Um,
Well,
and
and
not saying
it's
that's
an
a bad thing, but well, I obviously I'm not in that boat, so I don't know if they're searching for that closer friendship, or if they're satisfied with knowing tons of people but not actually having any close knit friends. Um, but
Well, and that brings me to the like my concept of friend groups and stuff like that is not without flaws. Sometimes I'll get a C friend who tries to be a B friend, and I don't feel comfortable with them being a B friend yet, or
mhm,
like I'm just not there and I'm just not feeling them. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, you're comfortable being in my C group. That's where I like you at. Like, and they try to like be more involved in my life, and it's like it's hard to be an asshole because I don't think that's even an asshole. That's setting like establishing like where what the level there is, and it's like it's hard to do that with certain people because some people just like you do get this idea of like, oh well, they might get upset and they're gonna think I just don't like them, and it's like it's not the case. It's just I'm not gonna hang out with you all the time. You're not like someone I see like that. And
mhm,
it's like someone you're like someone like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to hang out every once in a while, but it's like no. And whereas it's like there's other people, like for example, like growing up with Austin, like he dude lived at my house, like, and it was just like that. It was just how it was. It was more. It was that comfortability. It just that's where we sat, and it was like that with you guys when we were growing up. And it's like if someone, I'm not against getting to know other people, but like if I can just tell that like if I can't ever find some common ground with you, or like it's just like where my social interest lies is just so different than yours, or even like our approach and our walk, because like I have a lot of friends drastically different. I have people on both severe sides of politics to the middle ground, and then like religion, same concept. Like I know people who have done different things, have walked different walks of life, but I still look at them all very similarly. But then there's some people, it's just like their personality is either abrasive or it's just like I just don't know how to bridge my discomfort of getting to know that person, that they just kind of fall off, and that's okay. But and it's also very really hard to make friends in Wisconsin as an adult because like I said, this is like the Midwest is kind of clicky, and I don't use that term in a bad way. It's just a lot of us grew up in very small condensed groups, and then our shift of our focus goes to relationship building, families, stuff like that, where
mhm.
that's like a major mentality that circulates in the Midwest. And it's like no, you don't have to be like that, but it's just part of the culture.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting concept too, and like that's one thing that's been difficult for me living in Eau Claire now for almost or about 4 years now is like meeting new people and establishing new friends. There's really like and like I'm just gonna keep referring to kind of the concept you brought up of A, B, and C friends. I have like I don't have any A friends here. I'd say I have like one or two C's and I have like one B friend that I have
Yeah,
here. And like that's fine. It's just like I was just looking to like associate myself with more people and like eventually maybe work up to having an A friend and maybe I will someday, whether it's somebody who is already a C or B friend or it's somebody I'm gonna meet tomorrow that things just click right and whatever that might be, whether it's through a future job opportunity or overhearing a conversation or bumping into somebody at the bar and we just strike up a conversation, whatever it might be. And and what one thing that I was going to bring up before too is just kind of thinking about again that ABC friend range is like in high school I'd say like at least for myself I had like or at least I felt like I had like 10 A friends and then probably double that of B and then double that
so
again of
yeah,
C because that's
yeah.
just
So it just
like
continues to climb because
yes
that's how the ratios fall. Yeah.
and then it got to the point where like right out of high school, all my B and C friends, I'm like, yeah, get the fuck out of here, like kind of thing. Like
Well,
just because it's like
and yeah.
I moved from Coleman to Oshkosh, so it's like I'm an hour and a half away now. It's like if you're in that B and C friend like range, it's like okay, we have that distance that lack of communication is now prevalent. So it's like okay, like starting over with that. Um, but then now it's gotten to the point where it's like the 10 close friends that I had in high school, like it feels like I don't know, every 6 months to a year since high school, it's like one person steps out of the A into the B range, and another person goes to the B range, and maybe one of those Bs falls to a C, and now there's just like that brief contact there. So it's just kind of interesting how the ratio is like very even
It's
now, where I have like two people that are in my A group. I have like two or three people in my B, and then like the same for my C instead of how big it used to be. Which is funny because I like graduated from a really small high school. So it's funny. It's funny how now I live in a bigger city where there's a lot more people, but I wouldn't say more reserved. Like just because I wouldn't call myself a reserved person, but you're exposed to a lot different perspectives, whether that's political, religious, um, just like any perspective on any concept in life. Instead of having a bunch of people who think in a very similar way because they all grew up around
yeah.
each other within a 5 mile radius for 18 years of their life, you're all going to think and act very similarly, which makes it easier to get along. Whereas people that I grew up, I'm living with in this city right now, being only an hour away from Minnesota, I have people from a completely different state. Being in a college town, I have people from multiple different states, maybe foreign exchange people who don't even speak English. So it's just like at this point, it's not really a culture shock. Like for like when I first moved to Oshkosh, it kind of was, but now it's just kind of something I've accepted that okay, I'm just kind of with the friend group I have now, and
Well,
instead of kind of
and
forcing
here's the
myself to go
thing.
out and meet new people, I'm just happy where I'm at.
Here's the thing, though. You're still fulfilling a role in that culture in itself because you just diversified it even more so by being there now. Because like you see this different stuff, but yeah, you bring that small town perspective. And this is the thing. A lot of people got like a lot of people that come out of small towns aren't small towns get a bad rep. They do, and I understand why. I personally, I don't like some of the things that happen in small towns, but there's also a lot of good that comes out of them. There's a lot of like you said, like having a lot of people that are very similar to you isn't necessarily bad, and it's like kind of like if you're different, you're kind of like you're kind of ostracized. You're kind of like pushed out. Whereas like living in a bigger area, it's almost like difference stands out in a more positive way, depending on what kind of different you are. It's so weird. It's interesting. It's whereas like you are. your mentality has shifted, like you've been to college, stuff like that. You went through different parts of your life where that culture, I wouldn't say you ever, like, not saying you didn't experience a culture shock, but you had the opportunity to kind of like get introduced to it slowly. And now it's like you're kind of just kind of figuring out what you like. And you kind of like, well, you're not like, and that's like where you and me are seem very different. Like, you like to go out, but like me going out, it's like I I like to go out to like I'm a single guy. You're married, and that's honestly that all really has to be said about that. I'm not gonna break that down further because we kind of like been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's where like our interests and how we act does shift, and that's
And
okay.
that's the beautiful thing about that too, is just because like how you were just here a couple weeks ago, as we went out and like you said, you have the single mindset, I have the married mindset. We both hung out, went to the exact same places, associated with the exact same people that night, had
Yeah,
different experiences, but both left happy and satisfied with the night, which is
exactly,
again goes to show how people who have different perspectives and approach things differently can get along easily and
exactly.
commingle with each other.
Well, and that's why, and it was like I didn't disrespect you by like completely just disappearing. Like, I
Hmm.
involved you in the things I was doing because you also knew how to, and you involved me, and it was just very interactive to that point where it's like, okay, like for example, you didn't want to dance. That's okay. You don't have to dance because you still had something figured out. And plus, like Chris is kind of that middle ground where he is kind of like, well, I kind of want to, I kind of don't. So it just kind of balanced out,
Hmm.
and it just like you just if you get the right group together and you kind of create an environment where it's like everyone has a comfort there, everyone feels comfortable, because if you know what your friend likes and what your friend doesn't like, and they know what you like and you don't like, even if some of those things conflict, if you can find like you can create an environment where neither of you guys have to deal with the things you don't like.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you showed me this, like I was actually shocked by the scene you showed me. I was not expecting it to be like, because like I tell you, like, oh, I go to clubs, I go to like these more popular bars. I was like very, and like I definitely thought Chris is like, I only want to go to dive bars, but it was kind of cool to get to see him actually more interactive. And then I was like, I didn't know the Eau Claire scene, so I was like, oh wow, this is actually like, this is cool, like I like this. So
Hmm.
that was just a great experience overall, and it's those kind of moments that really help build your friendship even further, because you
Yeah,
get to see how you react in a different environment.
and that's the thing too. It's if you know what you're looking for, you can find it. Like how you said, like Chris was kind of looking for dive bars, and we ended up finding one kind of on the edge of town that we went to that Friday night and just played pool for the night. And then if you want to look for more of the club scene, you can go find that. If you want to go somewhere quiet and reserved, you can find that. So it's um, like a lot of people think of like, oh, you're living in the city. It's like, oh, there's just so many people around. You always got to, like, you're always around people. You always got. It's like you don't have to. Like it in a 10-minute drive or less, you can go find secluded. You can go find quiet. Like it's not that
We
hard.
did that. We literally did that our first night when,
Yeah.
like, because like that's what Chris was feeling, that's what you were feeling, and I was like, I was on board, even though it's not my typical scene. I don't narrow my perspective. I still like I found fun in it with you
Hmm.
guys, and that's all. Like, there was not a damn young person in that bar when we were playing pool. Like, we were the youngest people there. Everyone else was
Yeah.
like, and we still had a great time.
Yeah.
And the next night, all of a sudden, we're like, oh, there's only young people here, and we
Yeah.
also had a great time. And it's just like balancing that.
Hmm.